having me here tonight. But I am not the star of the final 30 minutes. That star will soon be coming on stage. Fear. It starts in the pit of your stomach. It slowly works its way into your throat, until it eventually hits your brain. Project professionals are faced with many fears in a variety of different situations. A schedule delay that hits a critical path. A high-impact risk that triggers the resignation of a key project resource. Or a primary vendor who suddenly declares bankruptcy and shuts down all operations. What do you do to keep the fear from controlling the situation? Well, today, Petty Officer Justin Ponder is here to share his unique experience on how he controls fear by relying on his team. Everyone, I'd like to introduce you to Petty Officer Justin Ponder, who's going to be answering some questions for us today regarding teamwork, leadership, and communication. But before I jump into some of these questions, walk us through that. What's going on there?
Yeah, some boring stuff there, let me tell you. I'll put you to sleep. So we saw a lot of the marine crafts that we use. We saw the air insert, the boat drop out of the C-130 aircraft, and then we saw some hot extract going on the rivers, and hostile fire going on.
Good. So your work environment or your workplace is not, I'm guessing, what most people's workplace is here on a daily basis. So
yeah.
Walk us through your typical workplace. I mean, what are you doing?
Well, we do work a lot in the oceans, in the rivers, in the fields, and in the woods. But also we do a lot of work in the office as well, mission planning. So you'd be surprised a lot the time that we spend in the office.
Interesting. Well, tell us what it is you exactly do. I know it's Navy Special Warfare, but give the crowd a little bit more of what you do.
So as a SWIC, we are mobility experts, basically, from any craft, from boats and Humvees, any kind of land craft. We specialize in extraction and insert of soft forces, which is Special Operations Forces. And we work with a lot of elements, other government agencies, and a lot of that.
So when you hear Navy Special Warfare, what do you think of right off the bat? Navy what? SEALs, okay? You are not a Navy SEAL, you are a what?
Navy Special Warfare Combatant Craft Crewman.
And that is also, tell us the relationship between that to SEALs.
So SEALs is sea, air, and land, and they are assaulters. We are mobility experts. Go through the basic same training. They have a demolitions part of their training that we don't go through, but we both comprise Naval Special Warfare.
So then to the motto here for SWIC, on time, on target, never quit. It's sort of ironic because Sandra was telling me that a lot of project professionals have a motto, on time, on budget, within scope. What happens, I'm sure the never quit part, you guys don't quit, right? What happens though if you're not on target or on time? What do you do?
Well, there are secondary and tertiary plans that we have planned prior to the mission, but when that happens, we have to communicate. It's the most important thing to communicate with the other force that we're working with and telling them the plan that we've come up with to execute.
So let's say you're trying to do, you call it an extraction, I'm guessing, that getting people out of hostile territory?
Yep.
And you're not on target. What does that communication look like in the moment? How do you guys work through that?
So let's say there's the tide. It's a beach extraction, and the tide has lowered too much for us to make that beach extraction. We would go over the communications and get a hold of that force that we're working with, giving them a new Latin long, new coordinates, and describing what kind of situation those coordinates would be, either hostile fire, enemy close, or just cold, and we would communicate that with them.
What percentage of the time, and I don't know if I'm asking for like classified data here, what percentage of the time are you guys on target and on time versus we're having to kind of plan on the go and make changes?
It happens, there's a lot of variables that come into play, but for the, I would say percentage, 70% of the time, real-time mission. But for training, they throw all kinds of wrenches into our plans, so we have to adapt and overcome those obstacles.
Good. How do you define teamwork? What is it for you?
Teamwork, I'd say at its best form, would be every team member having a clear knowledge of what they want to do or what they are assigned to do and how they're going to do it. And having every teammate having absolute trust and ultimate dedication and dependency to their team.
As a leader of one of these teams, and again, you saw the boat flying out of the plane and them jumping after it at night, correct?
Yes.
How do you continually remind these guys of their roles? I mean, is that a one-time conversation or is that recurring?
They have assigned jobs, and we do swap them intermittently to get that training of you need to be able to do every job on the boat, and you need to be able to do that within a moment's notice. But your question was?
How, do you reinforce that conversation of effective roles over time, or is it a one-time thing?
It's over time, over and over training, day in, day out.
Now, you mentioned a concept that I think might be useful for a group of project managers, is that you also know the position and roles and expectations of your other team members and can take them over on a moment's notice, correct?
Correct.
So walk us through some of the things that you as the leader or other members of your team have to know.
We have to know the complete system of the craft that we are on for engineering, and we have to know the surroundings of the area we are operating in. We have to know navigation skills and leadership skills. All of us have to have.
I'm guessing some leaders are somewhat people pleasers, right? So they might be, well, you're doing this wrong, but you do this really, really well. I'm guessing leadership has to be a bit more direct when you're on a boat going 57 miles an hour.
Very, very direct.
Okay.
Very, very.
Do you get to choose your teams? Do you get to choose the people you work with?
For the most part, you can pick the guys that you want to work with, but there are injuries that happen, and they'll halfway through training, they'll give you somebody else that you haven't worked with, and you just gotta know that they have been through the same training and they hold the same morals that you do.
I take it you've been in that position as the leader and had somebody else come onto the team, and you don't know this person personally, so you know they know their role. How does the rest of the team take that? What do they do, in terms of welcoming this new, I'm guessing, man to the team?
There is certain hostility, like you haven't been through what we've been through during this training. You're not a part of this team yet. You gotta prove yourself, and it usually goes smoothly. They usually fall in pretty well and do their job accordingly.
Good. When did you first realize that teamwork and communication is what's going to keep you alive at your job?
Well, there's a distinct, I can recall a night we were training a simulated hot extract, and our extraction...
What's hot extract? I'm not a military guy, so just dumb it down for us.
It's where enemy are very, very well present in that area, and you need to get off the X, which is that hot zone. You need to be extracted from a point after you carried out a mission. And our extraction point was compromised. So I decided that we had to swim off the coast and form a swimmer circle at night. And it took all the team's effort to hold security in that swimmer circle. We had to get communications up, and we had to get in contact with our force that was going to extract us. We had to get the exact coordinates and send our IR signal, our infrared signal, so that those forces could see us in the water.
Now, something I know Justin's mentioned from previous conversations is this idea of situational awareness. Okay, so as a team leader, well, hopefully all of your members have it. What's situational awareness?
Situational awareness is having an idea of everything that's going on around you at all times and being able to adapt to certain things that are happening. And it's very important in the business world as well to have that situational awareness, as where you could see that if you're giving a presentation and the audience isn't reading you like you want them to, you got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to read that and adapt.
Excellent. Does the situational awareness also come in when someone who's injured leaves a team and then a new person comes in? In terms, you said there could be some hostility between the teammates.
or kind of like, hazing mentality, so to speak. How do you prevent that from becoming problematic?
You got to remind the guys that we're all here to do this goal. We all have a assigned goal that we need to carry out. So if it goes too far, you just got to lay down the law, basically.
Good. Key topic, what's the role of communication when you're building a team?
When you're building a team, communication is everything, especially making it efficient is very important. It's like oil to a machine. It'll help everything run smoothly and all the members attain that goal that you're striving towards.
Efficiency, that's a term they're very familiar with, but it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. When you say having efficient communication, walk us through what you mean by that.
I would say getting your point across in as few words as possible, especially in my line of work. We can't be on the radio for too long, so we need to tell what we need with as few words as possible. And also,
you mentioned shared diction at some point.
yeah, you have to have a clear diction of words that you use. So a lot of planning comes into that in efficient communication. As a leader, you need to set basically a vocabulary that you guys will use, that they understand completely what point you are trying to get across to them.
Good. So, but when you're building the team, again, early phases, it might be people you're not too familiar with. What's the role of the leader? What are the specific things you're really trying to do with these guys?
As a leader, when you're building, you want to instill that communication in them, and you want to find out their weaknesses and their strengths so that you know how you can use them in the mission.
Good. What happened? Clearly, I'm guessing you guys don't have too many weaknesses, or else you wouldn't be in naval special warfare doing these missions. But when they identify one, what's your role then as the leader?
As the leader, you need to assign people to help them out yourself, and take time out of your day to help build that skill up to par, to what it needs to be.
What else is occurring though? Clearly you're helping them improve the skill. Are there other benefits of you as the leader helping that person?
Yeah, it builds morale in the team. Everything will flow better. Everyone feels more of a brotherhood, and just the team will obtain that goal that much quicker.
Again, Justin didn't mention this, but in some of our other conversations, he kept talking about learning. And as somebody that's not familiar with military culture, that was really interesting to me. So talk a little bit about learning in the team setting.
Developing a culture of learning is very important in the team setting. Practice. You have muscle memory. You need to be able to react as well to the ever-changing environment. So just always instill that culture of learning throughout your whole training.
Is teamwork only about accomplishing the tasks in what you would call mission and they would call projects?
No, I think teamwork definitely transcends the workplace. It goes in with everything. It should be beyond the workplace. You should help them out as individuals to grow, and yourself will grow by doing that.
Now, do you have to like everyone?
No, it's impossible to like everyone.
So, I mean, it's funny, but your job is depending on someone to keep you alive who you might personally despise, but you have enough trust that they're going to do their job to keep you alive.
Yeah, right? All individual biases go out the window at that point. You got to understand the mission. You got to understand that you are all working together to obtain this one goal, and all personal things.
Well, we talked about bias in one of the previous breakout workshops, is trying to what's called bracket your bias, acknowledge what they are and put them aside. Clearly in your line of work it might be easier because you've got under fire or something like that. Mm-hmm. How could they do that in the a non-survival workplace in terms of trying to bracket their biases?
Like I said, I think they should just concentrate on the goal, know that they are one entity as a team, and help those teammates out, even though they don't like them, help them develop their skills to what they need to be.
How does living together factor in, and kind of informal stuff factor into becoming a team?
Oh, I can recall many early morning firefights with airsoft guns and clearing rooms in the middle of the night with teammates. And it does build that camaraderie, and it helps your tactical aspects.
To see him more as a human and not just a coworker.
Exactly.
I mean, because how many of you travel for work? You have to go work on a project out of the city, out of the country. All right. What kind of things could they? Clearly, they're not going to have fights with airsoft guns. Maybe they will. I'm not sure.
I'd recommend it.
What kinds of things could they do? Some of this informal things just to get to know each other.
I would say get together outside of the workplace. Obviously, you need to practice your presentations and develop those communication skills within the team. But just going out and working on individual skills and not making it all revolve around the work, it will definitely help out the team in that aspect.
Is there a lot of cynicism, the idea that people are out only for themselves, or pessimism in your line of work?
Absolutely not. If you think that, then I think you should be in a different line of work in any team if you have that mindset.
Okay, so how do you respond to a cynic that would say, the other people here, they don't have my interests at heart, they only have their interests at heart. So what would you do as a leader in that situation?
And a leader, you need to rectify that mindset immediately, because that is very volatile to your team. So I would say you'd have to prove that as a leader, that you yourself are setting this standard to where you're out to help each teammate, and every teammate is out to help every other teammate.
We're kind of getting down to the nuts and bolts here. For you, what are the most important aspects of teamwork?
Most important aspects of teamwork is definitely communication. Like I said, it makes the whole entity run. And I would say just having that absolute trust that your teammate has your back in any given situation.
In the past, I know you've mentioned accountability, equitable workloads. Are those things always happening in your line of work?
As a leader, you definitely want to hold people accountable and spread the workload evenly. That raises morale, and it just gives that sense of camaraderie. So as a leader, you need to definitely talk to your teammates and find out how they're feeling.
Again, we're dealing with people who are in non-survival situations at this point in their careers, I'm assuming. So how can they try to build what you call authentic trust? I'm not saying it's easy for you guys to build. Clearly it's difficult. But you're going out with guns and they're defending you and keeping you alive. Clearly there's trust there. How can they build what you call authentic trust in non-survival situations?
I would say that practicing the presentation and making it stressful, getting your teammates out of their comfort zone would be very important, because you can see how they react and you can read them. And the more that you do that, the more trust you can build. So I think that would be the closest thing you could do in the business world. Just get them out of their comfort zone and see how they react.
That's interesting, because it's kind of counterintuitive. How do we become a good team? Stress each other out. Right? But what I'll make a comment is it ties back to the training you go through, right? They throw wrenches in. So a presentation. So I know when I present, I always assume that the technology is not going to work and have a backup plan. All right? Thank God it did. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
What's the most difficult part of teamwork?
The most difficult part of teamwork is keeping the morale up of your team, and just making sure everyone knows their clear job that they have to do. Knowing that and getting your word across to all your teammates with the intent of what you mean.
How much time do you spend, again, as a leadership position, doing that, keeping the morale up in a group setting or team setting versus one-on-one individually, or do you do both?
You do both, and I think you have to do it the same amount. When you see someone that is kind of getting that mindset, like you referred to earlier, as the team is not out for me, why should I be out for him? You definitely got to address that as soon as possible.
In your world, what happens when a team member messes up? How do you react as a team?
In my world, you don't mess up. Lives are on the line. So,
okay, fair enough.
And
in their world, lives might not be directly on the line,
Yeah.
maybe down the slippery slope. What do you do, though? How do you react?
I would say in the business world, you should definitely rectify those problems they have. You should work with them and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Excellent. Kind of a different subject, only have a few more questions, and then we're going to open it up for questions from the field here. Talk a little bit about after-action reviews or after-action reports. Describe what they are, tell us why they're useful.
Okay, they are documents that are typed up after a mission or training exercise has happened, and it's the input of every single team member of his experiences, what he saw, what he thinks should be improved, and the problems that they ran into.
Why is that a useful tool?
It's very useful because other teams can reflect on that through the same company. It's just why learn the lesson twice when you can learn from the first team that went in there and did that.
Okay, I'm going to push you. What about the cynic that says, I'm not going to work with these people. Why would I care? Why do I need to learn from them?
Like again, they shouldn't be part of that team. Should definitely look for a different line of work.
Fair enough. What'd you say? Be a project manager.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully you could take a lesson for yourself moving forward from that type of thing. So I thought that was kind of an interesting bit of advice he would have. Justin's huge on positive thinking. And is that just you personally, or is that built into your training and your occupation?
Well, definitely you have to, positive thinking goes in hand in hand with confidence. You got to project confidence, and I think doing that, positive thinking comes into play a lot.
How do you not let fear, and again, it could be fear like we saw there, or the fears that I mentioned, your primary vendor backs out 3 days before and they file bankruptcy. How do you not let fear and chaos control that situation?
You definitely have to adapt to those situations and be confident in yourself, knowing that you can carry it out. And that fear may carry you to overcome those obstacles.
Last question I have is, he talks about brotherhood, and I know that's, again, part of your occupation, but what does that entail? How is that different than a team member, or a teammate, or a coworker?
Well, that's when you have absolute trust and you've come to, respect your teammates as family members, basically. And it's very hard to attain that.
Sure. But striving to would probably be a good idea.
Very good.
Good. Well, that's all the formal questions I had. We would like to open it up to any questions. How much time do we have, Sandra? 5-7 minutes?
About 3 more minutes.
3 more minutes. Who's got a question for this young man? Jumping out of planes, following boats at night. Ozzy.
Justin, thanks for serving, first of all.
You're welcome.
I've heard military people and I've heard sports teams talk about this idea of teamwork and brotherhood. Can that be developed in the business world? And do you have a thought on how to develop that same type of camaraderie?
I believe it can be developed in the business world. It would have to be a team that has been together and been through a lot and overcome a lot of obstacles for that to happen. But I do believe it's possible.
Other questions? No? Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your attention. Hopefully you can take a nugget of knowledge